All right. So, like for this episode, we're going to be walking the path of Indigenous entrepreneurship, self determination, and action. My name is Trent Billette, your host today on RezToCEO. We've got a brother who's been living and building the real meaning of Indigenous entrepreneurship, Lance Arcand.
That's
Lance,
it.
Lance has been working to bring opportunity, business knowledge, and leadership back to our people. We're going to talk about his journey, what entrepreneurship looks like for us as Indigenous nation, and how we keep walking the path of the self-determination through business. Hi, Lance. How are you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good. I just want to make sure that we are talking and respecting on where we're coming from. I'm coming from Treaty 10 territory, and I just want to say that hello to the world. And then, where are you
Hello.
coming from, Lance?
I'm coming from Treaty 6 territory here in Saskatoon. Um, yeah, it was a good day. We took the kids out. My family and I went out to the powwow that's happening here in Saskatoon right now. Truth and Reconciliation powwow that STC Urban is hosting. We stopped in for a bit and then went out to Wanaskewin and we went and walked the path. So it's been actually a pretty good day so far. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear, and I just want to say that it's great to have you here, and thank you for bringing and your knowledge and everything else to the show.
Thank you.
So, before we dive into the work you're doing today, tell us of who you are, where you're from, and how your journey started.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name is Lance Arcand. I'm the CEO of Northern Indigenous Contracting, based out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Also, my other location is Beardy's Okamasas Cree Nation. It's about 30 minutes away from Saskatoon, so not too far. Um, Basically, how I got started, it's kind of a long story. I'll try to simplify it. I was working for a company and I was basically just a manager for a company, but I was in the same field I do now. And basically, I was just earning a wage, and if that, just a really underpaid wage is what I was doing. And I was working for the company, and the owner was out of town. He stayed out of town for more than a week, and pretty much I was running his company for him, and started getting other contractors coming to me needing payment for the service they provided. And so I phoned the owner and just let him know that I said, hey, there's people calling. And he's like, yeah, well, I'll look after it when I get back. So um, I kind of just gave him an ultimatum at the time saying, if you're not going to come back and start running your company I'm pretty much just going to quit. And, he didn't believe me. So the next day I did. Um, yeah. And then after that, I week after I was out of money. And I was thinking, well, I shouldn't have done that. That was a dumb move. Um, I'll never forget. It was Saturday morning. I woke up and I told my wife. I said, "Hey, I think I had a vision of some sort." She was like looking at me. Well, you never have a vision. You never have. I said, well, maybe a dream. I said, and she said, well, what is it about? I said it was about a contracting company. Um, I could see it all clearly. I told her there was a wolf that came into my dream. I told her, and she's like, "Oh," and I think at that time she probably thought I was lying, but I wasn't. And she said, "Well, what is it about?" I said, it was about a company called Northern Indigenous Excavating," and she's like at that time not believing me, and I said, "Well, no, it's about contracting." Northern Indigenous Contracting. So she's like, well, look it up. Maybe that's a sign for you to start a new career with that company. So I looked it up. There was absolutely nothing, but it was crystal clear to me when I seen this wolf. I seen this how this company truck looked, how the company looked, and the fleet of heavy equipment, the way it looked, and I really believed it, but there was absolutely nothing there. So then I'm like, okay, well, that's possibly a vision. That is a vision. So basically at that time, I didn't know it was going to be my own company, and which it is today. So that's the journey of how I got started. It was it coming from a vision, and basically just it was really it was a really good journey so far. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the creator has more in plan for your journey. As for a fact, being here today, you're already inspiring me with your story and how you all began. That's why with your next question here, I just want to say, what was your first memory of entrepreneurship?
I think my first memory in entrepreneurship would have been back in 1996. I was watching um, crews come in from um, from off the reserve to do work, and I started looking at what they were doing, and then I look on because I do come from a farm, so I looked at what we had on a farm, and we had exactly what they had, and they were making money, and I was like, "Whoa, well, maybe I could start making money." So just going out into the community with a lawnmower, with a shovel, and even planting trees, and doing exactly what I am doing now, excavation. So it's already with a shovel back when, excavating with a shovel. So um, yeah, at a very young age, that's what I was doing.
So at a very young age, who would you say who inspired you to take who inspired you to take that path?
Um, just basically for me, it was seeing my community have, have different contractors come in from off the reserve, and that started inspiring me to run basically my own company because I was seeing that what was happening is they were getting companies come in and do the work, and then they would leave, and I would realize, boy, they're not even hiring indigenous people. So what inspired me was that I can create something where I can hire First Nations people, Métis, Indigenous, and Inuit people, um, and actually, you know, teach them in heavy equipment operations and just day-to-day life skills as well.
So, and for Indigenous entrepreneurship in action, when we talk about entrepreneurship in Indigenous communities, it's not always the same as the mainstream world. What do you think makes Indigenous entrepreneurship unique?
Well, in our communities, we're so tight-knitted. We love to laugh. Laughter's medicine. We love family. We love helping each other, and that's what makes us unique. Is that we love to help each other. We love to um, find ways to get things done with each other, and that's what I find unique within our communities. Um, and especially even myself, taking for example, running a business. Um, I'm putting my values, my culture, my everything I do is revolving around how I can help our indigenous people. Um, Looking for ways how I can approach um, other communities in providing good services to them on what I do. Not many know about what Northern Indigenous does, but they also um, there's got to be more communication, I guess, with with our communities on our First Nations entrepreneurs and businesses, because we could definitely be utilizing them as well, right? So
So,
yeah.
for like, what challenges have you faced trying to start um, or grow a business in the community, and how did you push through?
Oh, that would be a 2 day long story or a session, but yeah, it's a lot. It's actually a lot. When I first started, coming from the vision, and then believing in that vision and believing in myself because I wasn't really taught that. Um, I did have a good growing up, but I was pretty addicted, um, person as well. Like for alcohol, I abused alcohol. I smoked. I did quite a bit. So I even went to jail. So and then my credit was no good. Um, Basically now looking how I want to start a business, it was next to impossible because I was like, well, first of all, the banks would probably laugh at me looking at my credit, and second of all, there's a lot more I'd have to learn in business. So um, I guess the journey started when I took initiative of my own life and looking at my family and my kids and saying, you know what, I can give them a better life, and of what everybody's saying that you can't. Well, no, I can, because that's all I was told all my life, is that you can't do this. So we're all categorized as Indigenous people, that we can't fulfill our dreams, our passions. So again, going back to my credit, I pulled out a third party loan, and then I turned around and consolidated my debt and paid off my debt that following year. And then after that, I figured, see, that's the biggest thing about Indigenous people not learning about credit. That's a really huge thing, because we're seeing. I thought, basically, this was just my thought, because I was uneducated. I was like, well, just pay off your debt, then you're gonna have really good credit. It doesn't work that way. It still took a lot of time just to get your credit to where it should be, and started educating myself. So after that, it was basically, um, getting everything aligned, as to opposed to getting a business plan.
So for like that also being in line with how do you balance culture and tradition and modern business strategies?
Um, so how do I balance these?
Balance culture, tradition, and modern business strategies within your what you're speaking about, like with everything you're going through in life and your business, and how do you balance all of it like a medicine wheel?
Well, I try to help our Indigenous communities as much as I can, um, in giving back through my own business. And for instance, here in Saskatoon, in the urban communities, um, there's one thing I do that's more of a hobby, is I cut hair. And no, I know a lot of people don't know me, but the people that do know me, is that I learned how to cut hair at a very young age, so I can go into and giving back, and then also through my family, we also give back clothing, and especially around Christmas time, we donate. Um, and basically, um, going through our company would be basically you know, going to help out any way I can. Like this year, I believe in Beardies, I took the skid steer out there, and I know when we go to POWs, there's a lot of these ruts and areas where there's needs some excavation work, and that's what I went out there to do. And basically, it was just anywhere I could help the cause of our relations with Indigenous people.
So what do you think? Do you think entrepreneurship is the key to self-determination for our people?
I definitely think it is. It's but it's actually a big fight if you're looking at getting into entrepreneur, because this economic development wasn't built for Indigenous people. Um, we're we're not a part of the system, and it's a hard boys club to get into, because there's a lot of closed doors, first of all. So you have to be really determined to um, get into what you want to do. Don't give up. That's the main key ingredient. There's going to be times, I know, I looked into gas money to get to a project, and here I'm the owner, but I don't have the gas money to get to it. So um, there's going to be a lot of barriers, and but just keep going. It's positive. There's always a really good positive outcome when you're trying to in betterment, not only your life, but the people around you, that's around
So,
you.
so for that being said, one thing we talk about a lot here on Reds to CEO is giving back. So, how do you use your business or your knowledge to support others?
By trying to teach whoever I come in contact with. I know I get a lot of questions on how I started my business, what try be a mentor to other Indigenous people, especially the youth. I'm not there yet to go out and talk. I'm not really a influential talker to go out to schools. I wouldn't mind trying, or maybe um, I'm also looking at venturing, putting out a pilot project for this winter actually for getting into a heavy equipment course,
Really?
making that unique. Yeah, and it's gonna,
So,
everything takes time. Yeah.
so for that being said, do you see entrepreneurship as a way for our youth to break cycles of poverty and create something for themselves?
I definitely do. Like it creates direct funding streams for Indigenous entrepreneurs, um, and also it gives them the tools to actually go out and do business and make change for the community, family members. Um, yeah, if we all come together and work together in our communities and building businesses, then I believe that would be a really good key ingredient to a successful uh, future for our reserves.
So for what's one piece of advice you'll give to a young Indigenous person who wants to start their first business?
Uh, One piece of advice I'd give is, you're out there and you have a dream, you have a passion, you want to do something, try, you want to try and get ahead in life. Um, Go out there and do it. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's gonna be hard, but you know, there is people that already done it. Surround yourself with good people, find mentors. There's a lot of resources out there nowadays that can help and want to help Indigenous people. So whatever you're doing right now, start turning it into a positive thing. And believe in yourself. That would be my um that that's basically what I would give to anybody I came in contact with.
So basically, for like, if we were to say we saw in the self determination versus self termination framework how colonial systems often box us in, do you think our entrepreneurs are breaking out of the box?
Ah, yeah, I slowly, for instance, I'm seeing more entrepreneurs and businesses today within the last 10 years than I did, right? Um, and we're slowly doing it, but at the same time, we're not doing it as fast as we should be. Uh, you know, um, we're just coming out really slow, but it's a good thing. But there's not enough support out there in our communities to help our people. Um, there's a lot that I face that I had to learn on my own. There was no safe place. There was no place to go to get information for what I was facing, and all of us face unique challenges when it comes to entrepreneurship or um, running a business. We all face different problems, and they're all unique. But at the same time, there could be more support in that area for people to um, start programs to help
So,
people like us. Yeah.
so for like being said, like, what's your biggest frustration with how Indigenous entrepreneurs are supported or not supported in Canada?
Sorry, what's that? I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
What's your biggest frustration with how Indigenous entrepreneurs are supported or not supported in Canada?
So basically, like uh, we're not being supported, first of all, by our own people. Our own people are not supporting us. I right down the line, like here in Saskatoon, Regina, I know a lot of small subcontractors or small businesses or small entrepreneurs that started out in the last, you know, year to 7 years. Right down the line, they're not getting supported by anybody. There's nobody out there that wants to help them. Um, in what's happening in their unique challenges. So
So if
we
if if you had the power to change one thing in government or policy for Indigenous business right now, what would it be?
one thing I would change is, well, there's a lot of things, but one thing top of my head that I would change would be to help our people to educate our younger generation in the school systems. That's one thing I would change because, for instance, like I just talked about, credit is a big thing. Teaching our kids about entrepreneurship and business at a young age, even if that's not what they want to get into, but in a real world, we're going to be using that more than history, right? So, it's a win-win to teach our kids now. So that's one thing I would love to change.
And that's why, like, for what's your bigger vision, Lance, 10 years from now? What do you want to see for your people, for Indigenous entrepreneurs, for treaty nations?
I would like to see, like, right across the board here in Saskatchewan. I would love to see everybody first of all get along. I know a lot of our First Nations people, chief and councils, um, a lot of them don't get along. There's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of mis mismanagement of funds. So there's there's uh there's a long ways to go, but I would love to see us as grassroots people here in Saskatchewan to come together and start everybody start businesses. Now's the time. It's a no-brainer to start a business, and if it's done correctly, then we can all accomplish something for each other and help each other out, especially our families and relatives and elders.
So, for like, how do you want to be remembered as a business person, a leader, a mentor?
I would love to be remembered as a person that helps people. Um, Put business aside, put teaching aside. I would love to be remembered as helping our communities, helping people. That's how I would like to be remembered.
So, if you could leave one final message for the youth listening right now, what would it be?
Um, stay off of drugs. I know it's hard out there, and you know, try get into if you're addicted, try get into programs where they can get you off drugs. Um, Try get educated, and if you want to start a business, it is possible. There will be a lot of hard barriers, but like I said, there's people like me that can mentor people. That's to because if if we're paving the path, if we're trying to pave the path, which right now it's gravel, um, I do love teaching people as well. Like, if people call me and said, "Hey, how do I go about writing a business plan?" And I could show them. How do we go about, even if it's not in my field, I'm willing to help people. So basically, just don't give up. There is people out there that will help you.
So, Lance, it's been powerful having you on. Before we wrap, if a young person is listening right now, maybe they're on the res, maybe they feel stuck, maybe they think business isn't for them, what's that one thing you'll want them to hear from you today?
Uh, like I just mentioned, don't give up. It's hard to grasp that concept not to give up because there's a lot of negativity and poverty on the reserves. But you know, if you want to run a successful business, starts now. Um, Start contacting people, getting the word out there, and social media is a good platform to get yourself out and letting people know what you want to do at a young age. Like I said, at a very young age, I think like even going back to grade six, before my mom passed away, she gave us all our school pictures growing up, all whatever we had, birthday cards. And I look back and I was looking through it and cleaning out the closet, and I would look through it in grade six. Somebody asked, a grade six teacher asked me what I want to be. And I said, I want to own a business. And I didn't even spell business right, but I was at least knowing what I wanted to do at a very young age because I knew if I can control my control something, as to oppose a business, then I can help people. Right off the hop, I knew I wanted to help people, and that's one thing that's been engraved in my mind. is not only help your family but help other people, and that's not a that's not an easy thing to do, because a lot of people don't, as much as we think we do. There's a lot of people that just, they're most more or less just looking out for themselves, and not for, you know, other people. So, to our younger generation, keep going. And if you're looking for a mentor, um, you can always call me, or looking for advice, Northern Indigenous Contracting, located here in Saskatoon.
So for like being said, like what would you give me some sort of like advice, or not advice, but let's just say wisdom or something in your language that you could say here on the podcast for others that they might take home and, for a little bit of culture. So for what would you want to say in your language?
For
Just a little bit of wisdom. Like what would an elder say to you if you were to ask them for some wisdom on your reservation?
Yeah, that would be a hard question to answer, but top of my head, if I was asked the elder, you know, we have to teach our younger generation. Um, there is a way, there is another way other than alcohol and drugs on a reserve. I know meth has been getting pretty bad, and that relates to uh, doing other things with these kids. They're going out and stealing and getting into a lot of trouble with the system. Um, you know, we have to teach our kids young, and we have to teach them now, because this world is changing quite quickly. Um, there's a unlimited amount of immigrants coming in, and I get it, because their situation back home is way worse than ours. Um, they got war, no running water, and we're talking about our communities having no running water. Well, what about bombs? And I get it. We're over flooded here in Canada with immigrants, but um, they have no place to go. But basically, we don't have enough housing for them, so it pushes people, out on families out onto the street. It pushes our Indigenous people to addictions. It pushes um, people that can't even get a job. So we need to all work together. We all got to come together and helping each other, and that's one of the biggest step right now, is loving each other, being kind to each other, and forgiving forgiving the past. And that's one thing in my relationship, even with my wife, is if somebody even asks me about my relationship with my wife, is how do you stay together for so long? It's, you got to forgive. And that's the same thing with everything else down the line, is we have to love each other and forgive each other, and we have to work together.
Well, those are some powerful words. Thank you, brother. This is why we created RezToCEO, to
Thank
bring
you.
voices like yours forward, so our people see what's possible. To everyone listening, remember, entrepreneurship isn't just about money, it's about sovereignty, legacy, and giving back. Let's rise together. Thank you, Lance, for being here.
Thank you.